Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just got to go watch my son play in his on the varsity baseball team for the first time. He's a sophomore, and he got to play varsity, and he did well. So that was kind of cool, especially as hard as that kid's worked with me over the years. Now, first thing I want to start with, this was a Digital Perspectives tweet. Sounds like outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, Perry Ann Boring and the Digital Chamber of Commerce are in alignment with Gary Gensler's approach that the rest of crypto are digital asset securities. Maybe she can help clarify for us. Now, this is something I've been saying for a while here. Every time Perry Ann Boring runs the Chamber of Digital Commerce, every time she's on a news station like a CNBC or a Fox Business, every time she's in front of Congress, all she talks about is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think that these people put them out as industry representatives. These are industry trade groups, not they don't say we're a Bitcoin and Ethereum trade group. They say crypto industry trade group. So I believe they owe the public answers. If they're going to call themselves that, they need to explain. Not one time have any of these people that I've seen come out since the Ripple case started with the SEC defended Ripple or defended John Deaton or helped John Deaton in any way when he started defending XRP holders.
Mr. Bankman-Fried, if you go by market cap, the vast majority are commodities. Bitcoin and Ether today compose over 60% of the market capitalization of the entire digital asset ecosystem, and they've been defined as a commodity by the CFTC. Today. There's other categories. We kind of talked about categories of digital assets. Another one is intentional digital asset securities. One is intentional digital asset securities. Bankman-Fried, if you go by market cap, the vast majority are commodities. Bitcoin and Ether today compose over 60% of the market capitalization of the entire digital asset ecosystem, and they've been defined as a commodity by the CFTC. Today. There's other categories. We kind of talked about categories of digital assets. Another one is intentional digital asset security.
Intentional digital asset securities. It's almost like she's trying to portray everything besides Bitcoin and Ethereum as securities like Gary Gensler is. So I think that Brad Combs of Digital Perspectives is correct to point that out. Now, Ray Fuentes, who's one of my favorite people to watch his short clips, is at it again. This is from yesterday.
Hey, what's going on, family and friends? Ray Fuentes here, community manager at Link2. Just dropping in to remind you to turn on those push notifications, because tomorrow we're dropping something huge, and it could be at any time of the day. Let me give you a hint. Boom!
That's what I'm talking
Happy
about.
hunting. See ya. Good luck.
All right. Then today, Nick Burafado, he's with Link2 as well, Director of Digital Asset Sales, he put this tweet out. He said, Ripple shares are live on Link2. Now, this was earlier today, folks. This was at 12:30 today. I don't know if there's any left or not. I haven't looked, but I wanted to just make you all aware that it's there. Okay, Dark Defender said, hi there, XRP finalized Wave 1 at 91 cents, and we expected Wave 2 corrective towards 74 cents. XRP targets 123/$2.03 with the third wave and $3.33 with the fifth wave. Key resistance is 91 cents, $1.13. Key supports are 75 and 70. What's interesting about what he's saying here, folks, is that XRP literally bounced right off of what he said and then shot up today, actually. Let me see what it's at right now. Actually, I can do it on refresh right here. We're at 83. So it's up 7 or 8% today. Let me see if that's right. Yeah, up 8% today. It bounced hard and went straight up for some reason. All right, Hassan Al-Anazi. Repeated extensions during the discovery period are aimed at finding a settlement that preserves the prestige of the SEC after its internal corruption is exposed. I mean, what he's saying there It wouldn't surprise me if that was true. And in fact, it inspired me to tweet this today. I went and grabbed the clip, the screenshot of William Hinman's speech, the Ethereum free pass speech. And if you look here, and I literally asked my father, who is the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel. He ran several companies. He was the president of several companies throughout his life. And I asked him this question. I said, when you were the president of a company, would you let someone go out that worked for you and give something formal like this with the background of your company name and just let him give his personal opinion on some random topic? Or would he be a representative of your company? Of course. And he said, of course he'd be a representative of my company. This is absurd on its face. It even says federal government rules around crypto and ICOs. William Hinman, Director, Division of Corporate Finance, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and it doesn't say anything about personal opinion. I said, does anyone really believe the judge in SEC versus Ripple thinks that was Hinman's personal opinion? I never will. I could present it to my 9-year-old in minutes and he wouldn't buy it. You have to wonder if this is now about preservation of the SEC as an institution. You do have to wonder. Here's another thing I wonder, folks. Have you noticed how many times the SEC has been willing in this case to go back to the judge and ask the judge to reconsider what was it called? The DPP, I always draw a blank on all these letter things. Anyway, the due process privilege, I think is what it's called. Well, the judge made a decision and then the SEC goes back and files a motion for her to reconsider. Well, I could be wrong here. Maybe some of you attorneys out there can correct me, but I don't remember Ripple going to the judge and saying, wait a minute, this was not Bill Hinman's personal opinion, so we want to file a motion to appeal your decision on that. I don't think they did that. And the question is, why? Maybe they wanted her to say it was his opinion. Maybe that's how you get the documents. Or we could be dealing with something far worse. But look, I know the people listening to me, they know that this is where they come just to get some basic common sense stuff. I mean, this doesn't take some genius to figure out these basic things that we're seeing. It doesn't add up, okay? Everybody knows it doesn't add up, and we're pointing out the obvious and focusing on the truth. And people are dying in this world, crazy world we live in now. People are begging someone to tell them the truth. That's the reason this channel's been successful. That's the reason most people who basically with no budget at all that start giving their opinions on things, if they're telling a truth that nobody else, that the people are being denied, the people show up in droves. It's really a simple concept. If CNBC would listen to my guidance on what they should cover on their channel, they would have the best ratings in the world. But they won't, because the truth is not in line with what they're supposed to talk about or what they've been told to talk about. That's why some random guy in Georgia has an audience at times that rivals these guys that are supposed to be Ivy League or professionals, because they aren't telling the people the truth, and the people are not stupid. They're not. People are smart. Some of the smartest people in this world are in the flyover country of the United States of America. Some of the smartest people in the world are in the rural areas of every country across the world. But those people are looked down on by the people, these others that are trying to make you think the way they want you to think and feed you a narrative. And that's why this stuff, if we smell BS, I'm going to tell you about it. And one of the things I smell is this idea that the judge actually believes that this Bill Hinman speech was a personal opinion. The digital asset investor ain't buying that. And sorry to say ain't again, but sometimes it's a helpful word to stress that no, not selling that to me. And apparently you're not selling it to 3,758, well, actually, 87.5% of 3,758 people. So nobody buys that this judge actually believes this. So then you have to ask yourself the question, why did she rule it? Did she rule it as an end around to make the SEC show these documents? Some of the things they weren't going to have to show if it was declared an SEC, not his personal opinion. That's what I think. Okay, just a little reminder from ProCoinNews.com that we are 418 days under American crypto innovation under siege by the what do you want to call them? The three horsemen: Gary Gensler, Bill Hinman, and Jay Clayton. Thanks a lot, jerks. Okay, Fudverse put this out. I'm not going to play it. It's basically I think this is the Uber CEO, and he's saying that Uber will start accepting crypto once it becomes environmentally friendly. And then Ashish Burla from Ripple weighs in and says, "Give me 20 minutes to change your mind." The Uber CEO noted that the cost to exchange can be expensive, and he further highlighted that it's not great for the environment. And Ashish Burla says, I can convince you otherwise. Now, do you remember for the last couple of years when I said that if they're talking about quantum computing being 20 years out, you can go ahead and shave off probably 15 of those years, maybe more, and I always use the example of the Patriot missile. When I was in high school, I remember watching CNN when the U.S. invaded Iraq the first time, and for the first time, all of a sudden we're seeing missiles shooting Scud missiles out of the sky, and they were calling them Patriot missiles, and I didn't even know that the United States had such a technology. The last time I had heard of anything like that was the Star Wars program under Reagan that was apparently scrapped, and then all of a sudden we've got Patriot missiles that'll shoot other missiles out of the sky. Well, my point is, and it's the same concept for the Manhattan Project, which gave us the atom bomb. The Manhattan Project was secret for a reason. Well, from everything I've read, quantum computing is probably up there with as one of as just as important or more important than the atomic bomb in terms of national security. So are you telling me that they would tell the world what they were working on and how close they actually were? No way, no way, no how. And that's what I've said for a long time. And now IBM is installing the first quantum computer in Canada that could help conquer science and chip making challenges. I wonder if it can crack Bitcoin in seconds. This is interesting. The SEC case is delayed because the world isn't ready yet for a digital monetary system with a neutral bridge currency. Things have to evolve. There's a war between Jekyll Island bankers and the good guys. I'm kind of thinking this is true, folks. But I said they're still waiting on Ethereum 2.0. I mean, consensus layer. And by the way, so check this out. Empower Oversight tweeted this out. Government motion asked judge for an extra week to answer our Freedom of Information Act suit without producing a single page from what the SEC has already located. Empower Oversight would have agreed to an extension if the SEC provided some docs now, but the SEC claims it is unable to release documents today. Right here. The SEC is unable to release documents today. What in the world? Why is any judge putting up with that? That is crazy. And I said, this only gets worse. I'm convinced they can never let us see any of those documents. Where are the good guys in the SEC? That's my question. Not one whistleblower yet, right? Okay, John Deaton weighed in on this. JV said, who else thinks that if Elad Roisman would have never left the SEC, these notes would have never been found? And then John Deaton says, it also clearly demonstrates that the SEC lawyers are not complying in good faith. As a federal prosecutor, you represent the public, not your desire to win at all costs. Shameful. Then there's this, folks. It all ties together. Let me have some more of this Diet Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper didn't pay me to say that. I wish. Just in, BlockFi is paying $100 million to settle allegations it illegally offered a high-yielding crypto lending product. Okay? Now, I went, and John Deaton had tweeted this about it. He said, Attorney Dugan Bliss was co-lead attorney for the SEC versus Ripple. He left in the middle of the discovery to go work for BlockFi, and that's the CEO, I guess, after BlockFi was receiving subpoenas from several states. No doubt the SEC was involved. We live in a pay-to-play world, people. And then I went to BlockFi's website to find some of their investors, and you'll never guess who's some of their investors. Consensus and Galaxy Digital. The SEC case sure did get resolved quickly versus BlockFi. There are no coincidences, and I believe that. And then there was this tweet from Barry Silbert. It would be naive to think that the SEC and state regulators are going to fine BlockFi $100 million, but not go after DeFi lending platforms as well. How? I don't know. Okay, but here's my comment on that. The question is, will the SEC go after Ethereum-based DeFi and token issuance? The Ethereum Free Pass was about Ethereum, but more importantly, a monopoly on these two, a monopoly on DeFi, and a monopoly on token issuance. In other words, the Ethereum Free Pass ultimately would give them a money printing machine very similar to the money printing machine that was given to the 5 wealthiest families in the world when they met in Jekyll Island to form the Federal Reserve, folks. That's what this is about. Look at what Ethereum is. Look at the things Joseph Lubin has bragged about. He's bragged about how, yeah, we can issue tokens and we can do that. Token issuance is a money printing machine, folks. It's a money printing machine. You can go and you can look up JP Morgan's head of their digital assets. I can't remember her name off the top of my, it's Moya, something like that. If you go look at her Twitter handle, she's got a .eth Twitter handle, which brings me to, I think, my next thing. Well, after this one, let me show it to you. Aren't all those .eth Twitter handles supposed to be changed to .consensus layer? You got to get with the Ethereum Alliance PR program. ETH has a stench now, disguise wells and all. Now let's go back to those disguise wells. This is a little video this guy put together on the DAO. And I said here, disguised whales from the Ethereum presale plus the DAO equals house of financial cards. Now listen to this, because the DAO thing, boy, there's some secrets there.
This whole story unfolds over the course of 3 months in 2016. From April to June. The DAO was an Ethereum-based venture capital fund that aimed to use code to create an investment firm without a conventional management structure or board of directors. A scheme that's positioned as lightweight and reducing bureaucratic overhead, but really it just translated to an attempt at minimizing human liability for the actions and behaviors of the fund. This unparalleled expression of greed made the major speculative players in Ethereum so horny that during the April and May presale, they funneled 14% of the entire volume of Ether into the DAO's central wallet. Now, because the DAO's underlying code was open source, experts and malicious actors alike were able to pore over it for vulnerabilities, and indeed, vulnerabilities were found. However, because at the end of the day, fleshy humans are the ones actually pushing buttons and making decisions, the actual leadership of the nominally leaderless DAO, horny for money and prestige, decided to launch in late May anyway. 3 weeks later, the DAO's programming was exploited and the attacker was able to transfer 1/3 of the DAO's funds into a holding wallet, about 5% of the entire Ethereum economy, valued at the time around $16 to $17 million. Now, because this threatened the bottom line of capital holders, the Ethereum project as a whole, the entire thing, was almost immediately forked in order to undo the hack and protect the interests of the wealthy. Ethereum Classic, the arm of the fork that didn't undo the attack, persists to this day, though it's notably less popular despite being demonstrably more principled. Because all the talk about decentralization is a myth. It's just words. At the end of the day, the guys in charge, the guys who built the system to serve their interests, are still in charge and keep a kill switch in their back pocket.
Exactly. Let's listen to that last part again.
Demonstrably more principled. Because all the talk about decentralization is a myth. It's just words. At the end of the day, the guys in charge, the guys who built...
It's words by design, folks. They sat in a room and they said, listen, we're going to say decentralization over and over until everybody believes it. Joseph Lubin said in an article himself that it came along at a time where they could create their own reality. And basically he said people would believe it. That is what this has been about. It's a ruse. It's a joke. Okay, now let's go to this. TAIG had put this out today. He said this SpaceX XRP wallet has some very interesting transaction ancestry history. These accounts, at quick glance, have hundreds of millions of XRP flowing through them, maybe even into the billions. Haven't quite dug through these yet. Check this out, SpaceX. And then, now granted, you can call these things anyway, so this may not be anything, but it's still interesting nonetheless, because there's no question in my mind, based on everything I've seen over the last few years, no question that a lot of the PayPal Mafia guys are the guys that are behind XRP and XLM. Now, I've shown plenty of what I think is proof over the years, but this is something a lot of you may not know. This right here, of all the videos that I've ever put on Twitter, of all the videos that I've uploaded to Twitter, all the different evidence of the SEC case, all the things, this one video right here has more views than any video I've ever put up, and which is why you need to see it again. This is Peter Thiel, okay? And let me read this first. Peter Thiel's the co-founder of PayPal with Elon Musk. Remember, Elon Musk has an obsession with X. He owns X.com. PayPal was called X when it first started. In 1990, this is him in 1999. This was planned long ago. PayPal Galactic was announced in 2013. Nobody has heard anything about it since. The same year, Thiel's Founders Fund invests in Ripple to build a better Bitcoin, Internet of Value. Also, we know that through Stripe was the first investor in Stellar, okay? And they took, I think it was 2% of the XLM, of all of the XLM, and they took that in return for the investment. Okay, so and a lot of the PayPal founders were investors in Stripe. Okay, so listen to this video of Peter Thiel. This is 1999, folks.
Network, and that's the kind of choice governments like China, India, some of these other countries are going to face. They will either have to shut down the telecommunications network and make it illegal for you to own a cell phone, or they will have to basically give up the kind of monetary sovereignty they've had and the enormous power that they've been able to wield as a result of this kind of sovereignty over the last many years. And I think this process is already full-fledged. The dollarization worldwide is going to be accelerated enormously by the technology. Now, the second theme is a little bit more speculative, and that is that getting rid of money altogether, going from digital dollars, from any kind of government-backed currency to purely private currencies. And what a private currency, or what private money, I think, fundamentally means is that there is no medium of exchange. You exchange value for value rather than exchanging value for something the government says has value for value. And whenever you have this intermediate step of the government saying something has value, that's where you have the subterfuge, the sort of legerdemain come in, the game of musical chairs, where every now and then a chair gets pulled out, and it turns out that you're the one holding a dollar bill that's all of a sudden become worth a little bit less. And the kind of exchange of value for value, the classic model would have been some sort of a barter model. That obviously has enormous transaction costs associated with it. These transaction costs go down in a digital age. And the kind of model that I think is the most likely to take place is one where you have other kinds of financial instruments that are very, very liquid. The one I would cite in the UML disagreement, it's a disagreement on emphasis, is I don't think the big fights on this are going to be fought in Washington, D.C. I think that, and actually it's for all the reasons Richard cited. The people in D.C. are completely backwards. They don't understand any of the technology, and even to the extent they can, it can't be stopped. You cannot stop things on the level of Washington, D.C. in terms of shutting down these encryption protocols, things like that.
They knew a long time ago. Now, it's not just him, though, folks. Now, look at this. There's literally a war going on. It was in that tweet earlier about the Jekyll Island bankers versus the good guys. I think Peter Thiel and these PayPal guys, I think the guys behind XRP and Ripple were the good guys. Look at the play. I'm eating Chex Mix while I'm talking to you. I love Chex Mix, by the way. Look at the playing field. And by the way, Chex Mix, they're also not paying me for saying that. I'm really having a Diet Dr. Pepper and eating some Chex Mix here. Look at the playing field. For years, the crypto media pumped the idea that XRP was a banker's coin. Them and all of their social media people, it was a concerted effort, okay? All while JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, we've proven that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, they were at Ethereum before it launched, okay? They had their programmers there, and Joe Lubin has said that Ethereum was there even before the token launch of Ethereum. All the while, them and their white shoe boys were working behind the scenes with Ethereum. There's a war going on. XRP will win. The unfortunate thing for JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs is that they chose the wrong technology. They put their chips in the proof of work corner, and it's been a nightmare because they can't even get Ethereum 2.0 out. Now they're changing the name to get rid of the stigma of it. This guy that's talking here is Luke Nosek, PayPal Mafia member. He was also at the Founders Fund with Peter Thiel, PayPal Mafia member in 2013 when they invested in Ripple. PayPal Galactic has not been mentioned since 2013. This clip is from the World Economic Forum in Davos.
many people don't know this, but the mission of PayPal was to create a global currency that was independent of interference by these corrupt cartels of banks and governments that were debasing their currencies. And we succeeded at building something very economically very powerful, enabled many small businesses. We're super proud of it, but we never achieved the mission. And I don't think it is solved by PayPal, precisely for the reason that you brought in the Venezuela case, where PayPal is simply too centralized and too attached to the big financial institutions, Visa, MasterCard, the ACH networks, the SWIFT network, and it will do whatever it needs to do to keep those institutions happy. It doesn't solve the problem, and I think with its current success and the current management, they're not going to go push the mission of the company forward. That was what we wanted 20 years ago. So somebody else has to do it. Not to mention that it was the wrong crypto foundation, but that's a different story.
And so why didn't you guys foresee this and build something that would solve the problem?
Well, we tried. When we were building the company, initially, Max Levchin, who started working on his thesis in cryptography, was my co-founder at PayPal. He researched Chaumian blind anonymous digital currencies, and then we that didn't think that was going to quite work. It was too centralized, and it wasn't quite anonymous. Then I think we just never figured out quite the right algorithm, and we were pressured by investors to just get the product out. This is part of the problem of taking investment money prematurely. I wonder what would have happened if Max just been able to sit around and brainstorm and work on the idea, and we can all talk about the mission, and maybe we could have figured out an algorithm that was more like the modern crypto algorithms, which I'm so grateful for.
I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Tell your friends and family that I am convinced that PayPal and the founders, in fact, Greg Kidd said that he found out about Ripple at a card game. He also said he was a, quote, payments guy. Well, what do payments guys in Silicon Valley do? They hang out with other payments guys. And there's nobody who were payments guys more than the guys from PayPal.